Hey Dave, I've done something no Minecraft YouTuber can say. I went outside, specifically to this deserted island. For the next 100 days, I'll have to make custom farms to actually survive. When I say deserted, I mean it. There are no animals that spawn here, as you can see. Build a house that I'm quite fond of, explore the Nether, and beat the game. I added a mod that adds in a ton of new biomes to the Nether, not only increasing the difficulty of the Nether altogether, but also making it a dark and treacherous place to explore, but don't worry. I also explored the ocean to see if I can find any form of life, but it turns out I'm all alone in this world. I guess I'm at some location called Point Nemo, which is weird as I never lost a son before, nor have I ever had kids, but that's besides the point. Starting off on this desolate island, I immediately go to chop some trees and notice there was only one tree, which was not enough. So after cutting that singular tree down, I quickly planted all the saplings it gave me, which is like 4 in total, in hopes they'll grow quickly so I can get some more wood. Then I have a sudden realization. There are no animals on this island. No cows, no chickens, no nothing. This is gonna be rough. So, in my infinite wisdom, I start collecting grass to gather seeds for bread, hoping I can get by with, just that. After some hard work, I managed to scrape together 9 seeds. It's something. Thankfully, I spot a couple of sugarcane already growing on the island, so I collect them and plant those too. Maybe, just maybe, I can get a decent farm going. Next, I spot not 1, but 2 massive cave entrances. As daunting as they look, I made a crafting table and used the minimal amount of wood I had. I made some wood tools and immediately started mining stone to quickly get an upgrade. While collecting that stone, I found some iron ore, so I quickly ran back up to the surface and went to my crafting table to make some stone tools to collect that iron. Unfortunately, there was only 2 pieces. Continuing down this cave system, I found some coal, so I mined this vein and made some torches. While down there, I saw a new friend. For some reason, he was green and smelled like a Discord mod's basement, so for his sake, I graciously put him out of his misery. God, I'm just such a good friend. I also found another small iron vein, so I quickly collected it and went back up to the surface to make a furnace and start smelting it. It started to turn night, so with my professional building skills, I collected a bunch of dirt and built my first base. It's basically a mansion and totally not a 3-block tall dirt hut that I made out of fear. I would never do that. I moved my furnace and crafting table inside and proceeded to make an iron axe and a pickaxe with the iron I collected earlier. Even though I'm on a deserted island, I would say this was a successful day 1. After hiding in my dirt house throughout the night, tactically and not out of fear I swear, I went outside to find a really tiny spider with particles coming out of it. For some reason, this little guy had a name above it, Rowan Creeperforge. Now if you didn't know, I hate spiders, so I had to kill Rowan. He didn't even attack back. I felt kind of bad, actually. Can we get a RIP Rowan in the comments? After killing him, I saw that he dropped an enchanted flame book, so I guess his death wasn't in vain. I will be using this later, thank you Rowan. After that, I decided to go back into the caves and get a bit more resources. I found more coal and iron and then came across 2 creepers. Just so those green dildos didn't explode all over my face, I quickly killed both of them. I continued down the mines until I came across a huge cave system. I was about to explore it until I noticed there was a skeleton hiding in the dark. Without armor, I didn't want to risk it, so I headed back up. Oh, no, I'm okay. I'm not doing that. I'm okay, we'll come back. After getting back to the surface, I noticed 2 of the trees grew, which was perfect because while I was down in the caves, I ran out of wood. So I quickly chopped them down and ruined the ecosystem's oxygen yet again. Who needs that anyways? Those trees dropped me 2 apples, so I was able to satiate my hunger for at least a little bit, since I was getting a little peckish. I then replanted the saplings that dropped to continue the growth of my tiny forest. My last ditch effort for food. Since I was getting desperate, I was going to go through the ocean and collect a bunch of kelp. After taking a splash, I noticed even more trees grew. So I chopped those down and replaced the saplings. It started to turn night, so I went back to my base and made a chest to start storing my junk. Next, I started smelting my kelp and eating it. Doesn't even refill much hunger, but it'll get the job done for right now. While waiting for night to pass and for my kelp to cook, I went through achievements and noticed the tab Nice Mobs Remastered, which adds mob rarities and gets random mobs potion effects. I learned that Rowan was actually a rare mob, so that explains why he had a name above his head. Also, look at my cape. It has pancakes on it. Quickly, if you're enjoying this video so far, it would mean the world to me if you would click that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 2 million subscribers before 2026 is over, and it would genuinely mean the world to me if you guys would help me reach that. Also, if 10,000 of you click that subscribe button, I'll make another 100 days video. Thanks. So, after the sun rose on day 3, I went outside and noticed there were a few trespassers on my land. And law says I'm legally allowed to kill them, so that's what I did. I took care of the creeper first so he wouldn't blow up my godforsaken land, and then noticed a skeleton in the water. Trying to take a hot bath in my water? Not happening. I absolutely dodged his shots and took care of that bony freak. I noticed another spider with a name, but he wasn't Rowan. You will never be Rowan. So, I ended his life for even thinking about being Rowan. The spider dropped another enchanted book. Curse of Binding. You see, this is exactly why Rowan was better. I will definitely not be using this. I then used the bones dropped from the skeleton to make bone meal to use on the saplings because I was getting impatient. I will need a lot of wood for the base I was planning on building. After chopping the trees down and replanting the saplings, I went back to the caves and started mining stone. That is another thing I'll be needing for my base. While mining, I found some more coal. I mined that up and got some more stone, ending with around 2 stacks, and headed back up to the surface. I started smelting the cobble in my furnaces and, once again, tactically and not out of fear, hidden my base throughout the night. I started the day with tending to the farm. I collected the sugarcane that has grown and then used that sugarcane to expand part of the farm even more. I then collected the wheat that has grown. I then planted 3 more seeds for a bit more wheat growth later on. Heading back to the tree farm to collect some wood, I noticed a skeleton with a shield and a pickaxe. I fought it, expecting a difficult fight, but it didn't even fight back. I felt kind of bad, but that's what you get for trespassing on my land. I then spent a little while cutting down the trees that have grown and planted the saplings those trees dropped. While heading back to the farm to collect wheat that has grown while I was farming wood, even more trees grew. So I cut those down and placed the saplings. This forest is starting to grow. I then went back to the beautiful dirt house and made a double chest to start storing my future base materials. And, most importantly, made a door for the glorious dirt mansion. So now, this house has become a home. Next thing I needed for my base was some glass. So I decided for the first half of the day, I was going to dig a lot of sand. So I made, and probably wasn't the wisest decision, 2 iron shovels and got to digging. Got 2 stacks from the ocean before getting bored and moving to chopping more trees and expanding the sugar cane once again. I then went back to my furnaces to start smelting the sand and decided instead of just sitting here and waiting, I was going to be productive. So I went and headed back down to the caves, mined a bunch of iron and coal, then my pickaxe broke, so I dug out a little hole to smelt my iron, and made some more tools and started making iron armor. I really didn't have the patience to wait for an entire set of iron to finish smelting, so I only made a chestplate for the time being, which I feel like is enough for these early caves. After collecting my items and equipping my chestplate, I continued throughout the caves where I found a massive cave system. I followed it down and made it to deep slate and immediately found diamond. Unfortunately, it was only 2 though, so I wouldn't be able to make anything quite useful yet. I also definitely didn't almost die to a skeleton, just ignore that. After finding another diamond, now at 3 total, and a cave system with way too many mobs, I tactically ran away and decided to head back up, which led into day 6. While I was mining yesterday, pretty much all of the trees grew, so I proceeded to chop them down. Once again, hurting the ecosystem, but that doesn't matter because game progression is more important than silly oxygen. And then I collected the saplings and expanded the forest even further. I then checked on the farm and noticed more wheat and sugarcane grew, so next thing I did was collect those and expand the farms even more. It was starting to look like an actual farm and not a bunch of seeds thrown together. I then went back and collected all the now smelted glass and proceeded to make probably like way too many glass panes. I stored them in my material chest and then started smelting the iron I had collected in the mines. While waiting for that, I started storing my junk into the chest to clear my inventory a bit. After the iron was done smelting, I made the rest of my iron armor. Don't I just look amazing? Tell me I look amazing, please. Finishing off the day, I made more of the materials for the base, such as trapdoors, stairs, slabs, and a bunch of planks. Day 7 was a pretty boring day. I started off by making a composting bin so I could use my extra saplings to make bone meal for the trees. which, Lord knows, after chopping all those trees, I had enough saplings to give up. Next thing I did was collect the trees that have grown to make some more materials for the base. This loop of cutting down trees, making materials, and then going back to cut down more trees, happening pretty much all day until the end when I started flattening out the island to make room for my future projects. After it started to turn night, I made some more of the building blocks, and now I nearly had enough materials, so I decided that once it's day, I could start my base. And start my base I did. I immediately started with the outline framing, making this L shape with oak logs, building each pillar 6 blocks up. Then I made an oak flooring with a little stair entrance and fencing around for this nice front porch look. Next, I started adding these walls to the base before it started to get dark. I was going to stay out in the night and continue working on the base so I can get it done quickly, but I was absolutely jump scared by the flying rats. For some reason, one of the sound mods that I have added make the phantoms sound like eldritch deities. So I made it back to my dirt hut and changed my pants and waited for the rest of the night. Once the sun rose, I was able to go back and continue working. I finished up the walls for the first floor and started adding stairs to get to the second. I used slabs to make the floor itself and then started adding the walls to the roof. I used a stone brick outline and then a oak stair roof itself. I finished up the roof right when it started to get dark. I would keep working, but my materials are getting low and my axe is about to break. So I made the decision to head back to the dirt base and recoup. I made a new axe and, once again, waited inside for the rest of the night. I started the day off by carving into the roof and adding these little window accents for a nice pop-out effect, so it's not all flat. Next thing I did was add some campfire roofs around my balcony. I put out the fires, of course. I don't want to burn everything down quite yet. Finally, I added the glass panes and some doors to finish the rest of the house. Now that the house was essentially done, I'll need to get some greenery and, all of those fun, beautiful decorating blocks later on, so it's not as flat looking, but that's a later me problem. I have to do one thing. The thing I was dreading this entire time. Tear down my dirt mansion. You see, as pretty as it is, it didn't really fit the theme I was going for the island. So I tore down the dirt and started collecting the chests and furnaces. Then I placed the furnaces inside and started placing a bunch of chests. And I did the unthinkable. I started organizing my chest in my new house from the start. Hopefully this stays organized and I don't make a chest monster later on. After it turned day, I very quickly tended to the island, collecting the sugarcane and wheat, the trees, and then I added some grass and flowers using bone meal to liven the place up a bit. After that was done, I organized my inventory and headed down to the mines. I was in desperate need of diamonds. I made my way into the caves, got jumped by one of those rare mobs, this time being a skeleton, and when I killed it, it dropped an infinity book. Actually pretty useful this time. And then I discovered something new. The infested caves. While this place was terrifying, it also contained something very valuable to me. String. I went around collecting the string and so I could finally make a bed. I was luckily able to find some diamonds and then I came across a pool of lava with some obsidian. I collected 14 pieces of that, which would be enough for another portal and an enchanting table. I continued down, got jumped again, but this time by a horde of zombies. I took care of them and collected some more diamonds, which this should be enough for the rest of my tools and armor. So with that in mind, I decided I had enough fun. And since I was running out of food, I made my way back up. I finally made my bed, and for the first time on this deserted island, I was able to sleep. So for day 12, my PC decided to do what it does best and corrupt my footage. So I'll give a quick rundown of what happened. I woke up and noticed that a beehive spawned. Leave a comment below to name this little guy. Next, I built my nether portal with a wooden and stone frame. Added some leaves for some nice greenery, though I'm not a huge fan of it, so I might rebuild this later on. I also expanded the island a little bit to give some night walking room. Then I made diamond armor for a bit extra protection. Then I entered the nether, and to my realization, it had completely changed, with new biomes that made traversing through the nether even more dangerous and terrifying. My nether portal spawned me in a infernal dunes biome, a barren and lava-filled wasteland, which of course had to have blazes everywhere. After being jumped by those blazes, I ran out of food and went back home to sleep. After the trauma-inducing events of yesterday, I decided to take it light today. I started off the day and noticed a wandering trader spawned in. I checked his trades and they were all useless, so I had to, take care of him. I then tended to my trees to get some wood. I also desperately needed food, so I collected kelp and started to cook that. Next, I made a fishing rod to try and get some extra food that way. I made a tiny little dock. It'll get expanded more later on, so don't worry. And then fish for the rest of the day and into the night. While I was writing the script and fishing, I got jump scared by a creeper. After it exploded on me, I tried to run back inside, but I had to fight a skeleton, and it shot me. I was getting low, my heart pounding, my vision getting blurry. I ran to my bed and ended what was supposed to be a calm day. Starting off the day, I rushed to eat, and while I was healing, I noticed that not only was there a skeleton with a helmet and an enchanted bow, but there was also a creeper quite literally sitting outside my door. What do I do? What do I do? Why can't you guys just leave me alone? What do I do? After healing more, I manned up and ran outside, hitting the creeper, and then out of some stroke of luck, the skeleton shot the creeper, and it dropped a music disc. Next, I killed the skeleton, and out of even more luck, it dropped its enchanted bow. It was only power 1, but I will take it. I started to organize my chest when I got, and I kid you not, jump scared so hard I physically recoiled. For some reason, the sound mod I added for pretty calming sounds made the thunder so unbearably loud. Out of fear of my all-wooden house burning down, I just ended day 14. Short day, but still almost had a heart attack nonetheless. Now, for some reason, even though I just had 2 of the most stressful days of the game so far, I decided to head to the Nether and get leather, since I desperately needed enchantments. After making it through this desert, and for some genius reason that I couldn't explain, I found a bastion and made the decision to explore it. I did get some decent loot out of the chest and totally didn't almost die. That would be crazy because, you know, I'm a pro. I'm stuck, he's just sitting there. He's corner camping me like a COD player, dude. After tactically escaping, I come across a crimson forest, but before I entered, I finally made gold boots so piglins wouldn't attack me. Not sure why I didn't do that earlier, but whatever. I think I just enjoy the thrill of being hunted alive. After setting up a little bit, I ran around the Crimson Forest for the next 2 days and hunted hoglins until I had enough leather for a full level 30 enchantment setup. I carefully made my way back to the portal and slept, ending what felt like Nam all over again. And waking up on day 18, I started the day off by smelting the pork chops I acquired from the hoglins. This should be enough food for a long time. Next thing I did was start making the bookshelves, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough sugarcane. I made 11 bookshelves, so I am very close to 15, so I should only have to wait a few days. While I wait, I started building the location where the enchanting table will be. If you haven't noticed yet for the island, I'm going for a rundown nature thing. Maybe I've been deserted on this island for years. Who knows? You can decide. I made a little ring of wooden logs and built up to make this a little cove of sorts. Then I added some stone bricks and leaves to go with the other builds. And finally, I added some lanterns for lighting and the bookshelves I've gotten so far. I also covered up the other mine entrance since I kept falling in it. Even though this is my main entrance, I'll figure something else out. To end things off for today, I added some paths from my house to the Nether portal, the enchantment setup, and then the docks to connect it all together. Instead of the regular boring paths, I decided to spruce it up a bit and added some stone and gravel, giving it, at least I think, a more natural look. I then connected my main island to this little tiny island I had next to my farm. I'm thinking about adding a little watchtower later on, and I think this would be the perfect spot, effectively connecting the 2 pieces of land and expanding my main island just a tad bit. I then tended to the farm. Then I tried my luck at enchanting. Even though I didn't even have all the bookshelves on my diamond pickaxe, I got efficiency 3. And then I got a protection 3 book. I figured that was good enough, so I made an anvil using the iron I've saved up and added it to my chest plate for just a bit of protection. I was starting to run low on experience levels, so I went back to the Nether and mined every bit of quartz I could find, getting me over level 30. I will definitely need more experience points, but I think this is fine for the time being. I go back through my Nether portal, and what is waiting for me on the other side is a blaze. I definitely did not pee myself, just ignore the smell. I head to bed, and after laying down in my white bed, seemingly yellow now. Weird. 20% of the way there. I was getting kind of tired of just waiting around my island, so for the first time, make a boat, and travel off in hopes of finding a new piece of land with resources. I also turned back on my shaders. I turned it off for a while in the Nether a few days ago and totally didn't forget to turn it back on. Pretty quickly, I run into a new island with a new tree type. The worst one by far. Birch. I chopped down a tree for the saplings just in case, but I will never be using this abhorrent looking tree in one of my builds. Oh geez, that'd be so bad if I were to find a freaking island. Oh no, God, please, no island just jump out at me. Please, I love it so much, just only having water. I came across one of those water ruins and I tried to loot it before being attacked by drowns. I go to get back in my boat and one of the little freaks is sitting in it. I'm not a charity, so I said hi to it and continued venturing off. It was turning night, so I made my way to a very small piece of land to sleep. Opened my inventory, and I forgot my bed, which means I have to continue in the pitch black. While traveling in the dark, I come across a ocean monument. I'm definitely not equipped enough to take that on right now, but I marked the coordinates, and I'll fight it later on. Then I come across what seems to be the craziest world gen I've seen in a while. Peaks of mountains just coming out of the water, going up what seems to be hundreds of blocks high. I didn't really see anything of interest on the mountains itself, so I just kept going. And finally, I found a small island with some sugarcane on it. So I collected it and decided to make my journey back just so it wouldn't take me even longer. On my journey back, I come across what seems to be a destroyed raft with some barrels of loot on it. There wasn't much stuff of use in it, but I grabbed some emeralds, paper, and moss blocks for later use. Then I hopped back in my boat and continued back. On my way back, I come across two major islands, one containing a cherry grove, so I collect one of those trees for the saplings. I absolutely love the look of the wood. I'm not sure entirely how I will be able to incorporate it into my theme, but I'm going to try and figure it out because they are beautiful. The next island I come across is a dark oak forest, which is quite literally perfect. I have been wanting dark oak for my builds for so long. I think it'll look perfect in what I'm building. I finally get back to my island, and with the sugarcane and paper I collected on my journey, I was able to make 2 more bookshelves. 2 more and I'll finally have the full enchanting setup though. Then, to end off the day, I stored all my new loot into my chest. Now, remember that watchtower I mentioned wanting to build? Well, today I started building it. I built a small cobble wall, and then using my oak logs, I built 12 blocks up to build a frame out of the watchtower. I didn't want it too tall to where it was an eyesore, but I still wanted it tall enough to count as a watchtower. Then, when I was going to start adding stone bricks, I realized I was running really low on stone. So I went back down to the caves and mined 8 stacks of cobble. This should be enough for the time being. To finish off the day, I put it in the furnace to start smelting, and I AFK'd while I waited for it to finish. Another building day. I added stone bricks to the framing and walls, and then built my ladder up, so I wouldn't have to keep building up every time I needed to get to the top. Then I added the wooden flooring and added the log windows up top. I wasn't a huge fan of the basic looking log, so I stripped them all, which I like a lot more. I wanted to keep building throughout the night, but it got so dark and I'm scared of the dark like a man. So I ran back home and slept. I added some cobblestone walls from the inside for some extra depth to the tower and then added to the roof. I decided on a dark oak roof since I think the darkness is a nice contrast to the stripped oak logs that still works with the rest of the builds. To finish off the days, I added some stairs on the outer walls for a nice segue into the depth of the cobble walls. Turns out, I in fact did not have enough cobble. So I spent the first half of the day mining a bit more cobble. After I felt like I had enough, I turned a bunch of it into cobble walls and added some more details to the walls of the tower. I also added some torches on the inside because it was very dark. Then, to finish off the tower, I added some walls to the windows so I don't, accidentally walk off and fall to my death. I'm very happy with this build, and the tower contributes to this island perfectly. Finally, my sugarcane has grown enough for me to make the full enchantment setup. I added the last 2 bookshelves and made the rest of my diamond tools. I started enchanting my tools and armor until I ran out of enough experience points. I then had to make a quick nether trip where I mined quartz until my original diamond pickaxe broke. With that being done, I had enough experience points to finish enchanting. It wasn't perfect tools and armor, but it would definitely get the job done for the time being. All I really needed now was some mending books. And I'm really hoping I can find some villages later on. on. You know, the thought of doing the whole curing zombie villager process, it sounds really tedious for right now. I started the day off by tearing down the farm I built in the beginning of the video. As sad it is to see it go, quite frankly, it's ugly and provides no use to me anymore. Maybe I can build a prettier one later on in the video. Guess you'll have to watch to find out. I also expanded the island just a tiny bit more and added the pathing and stone floors to the watchtower. I then added some of the light post thingies with fences and lanterns to increase the ambience of the island, making it just a tiny bit prettier. I was getting a bit bored of the building aspect of things for now, so I decided to head back into the place I've been avoiding. The Nether. Oh god. I feel like I've geared up enough and gotten enough food to make my way across this difficult dimension, and hopefully I can find a Nether fortress. You see, the thing is, so these blazes that spawn in the infernal desert, yeah, they're a different type of blaze than the ones you find at a fortress. These guys don't drop blaze rods. For some very confusing reason, they drop redstone and red sand, making them completely useless for me. I make my way around the bastion this time instead of going through it, and continue to travel through the entire Nether. I really think I just got unlucky with my spawn being that desert, because of, so far, besides that biome, everywhere else hasn't been too bad. I then find myself at a warped forest, where I come across an enderman. I do the usual trap it in a boat, but when I got close to it, my screen started to get really static. I think this might be Slenderman instead. Unfortunately, he didn't drop me an ender pearl, though, so I continue traveling onwards. I made my way into a new biome, the Volcano Delta, and I take back anything I said earlier about me being unlucky with spawning in the desert, because this is genuinely miserable. I was getting attacked by magma cubes, the rip-off blazes, and gassed all at once while being surrounded by spiky terrain and lava. Luckily, I made my way out and into the next biome, the Basalt Delta, which was essentially the same thing. I couldn't tell you a difference. Maybe less lava? Look at this sick block clutch I got though. Getting out of the Basalt Delta, I finally find another fortress, or so I thought. I make my way inside, loot a chest with just gold, and try to continue on before realizing that this fortress was just a single room. This place was completely useless to me, so I had to, unfortunately, keep going. I make my way into a crimson forest and then discover an upside down warper forest? Strange, but okay. Making my way into the Soul Sand Valley and acquiring the Hot Tourist Destination achievement, meaning I have explored every biome in the Nether before finding a single fortress. I then collected some bone blocks since I was completely out of bone meal back at home. I continued exploring the various biomes. I'm seriously starting to worry that this world is cursed with no fortresses, which I have had plenty of times before. So for day 30, it was a pretty boring day. I literally don't know what to write about because this is what my gameplay consists of. Well, this was until I made my way into a vomit-inducing looking biome, Toxic Heap. I was making my way through this biome, and then I saw it. A full fortress. I go throughout the Nether fortress for quite a bit of time, killing blazes, ending with 10 blaze rods. I wanted to have a bit extra for potions, just so if I find any zombie villagers, I wouldn't have to do the witch tactic to heal them. After getting enough rods, I really didn't have much use for the fortress anymore. So I wandered around the Nether for a while to kill endermen to get the pearls I needed, and oh my god, this took genuinely forever. I multitasked killing endermen while traveling back. I also totally didn't get lost. That would be crazy. Anyways, I ended up with around 18 pearls. Hopefully, this will be enough because I really do not want to be back in the Nether anytime soon after all of that. And finally, after almost 10 days of being in the Nether, I find my glorious portal and make it back to my base. I started the day off by organizing my inventory. Storing all of the loot I got from the Nether, my inventory was completely filled and a jumbled mess, and just looking at it was making me mildly uncomfortable. The next thing I did was make a new bow and enchanted it. It was power 3 and unbreaking 3. Not terrible, and definitely will get the job done for right now. I also added the infinity book I got all the way back in the beginning, so I wouldn't have to use a ton of arrows arrows. Next, I turned my blaze rods into powder, combined it with my ender pearls, and made eyes of ender. I went outside and threw it up, and it broke immediately. Okay. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's whatever. So I hop in my boat and head in the direction of the eyes. I also pass this massive floating island. I don't know how I missed this before, but I will be exploring it when I get back. It was starting to get dark, so I parked my boat on a small island and placed my bed and rested for the night. I make it a little whiles out before throwing another eye to make sure I'm heading in the right direction, and lo and behold, that one breaks too. Wow, we are 2 for 2. I come across a small island with a pumpkin on it, and I collect it for the future farm I'm going to build. I throw my ender eye, and it shows that I've got to go back, which means I passed it, and oh my god, that one broke too. I go a bit of distance, throw the eye, and what is happening? I was starting to get close when it started to turn night, so once again, I went to a tiny piece of land and rested for the night. Thankfully, I'm able to throw an eye without it breaking, and it goes down instead of up. I head to the ocean floor, placed down a door, and started digging. I eventually found myself at the stronghold, which had some crazy world gen with it. It was half broken into a lush cave biome, and as pretty as it was really annoying to traverse through. Eventually, I find myself in the portal room. I break the silverfish spawner and place the eyes. And I jump in. I quickly, and with my flawless aim, take out all the crystals. I totally don't miss these very easy shots. I'm attacked by some endermen, but with water, it's light work. This dragon has been reworked, just a tad giving it some visual and audio flares. For example, whenever it roars while it's perched, my screen does this. I do some damage with my swords while it's perched, and while it flies, I try to hit it with my bow, only making it a few times. She perches one last time, I aim my bow and shoot, killing the ender dragon, and of course, I collect the egg. Now, to start with the tedious process of traveling through the end to look for a boat. I make my way to the portal and throw a pearl in. I walk through this really desolate looking area. I really do hope they end up updating this location eventually. I didn't find a boat, but I did find a few small modded structures, but my goal is only an elytra right now, so I ignore them and keep going. That was until there was a new structure in my path. I just had to attempt exploring it. Key word here is attempt. So it turns out it was an end pillager outpost. It felt like a normal outpost, but the difficulty cranked up to the max. I got jumped by so many pillagers with their bows, and then for some reason, endermen started attacking me, and I tried running away. Tactical, not out of fear, trust me, but they followed me for so long and far. I took care of some of them and then was able to retreat. I then spent the rest of the day searching for a boat. Definitely not exploring any new modded structures now. No. I finally discover an inn city in the distance. Unfortunately, no boat, but I still make the long journey to the city in hopes of finding any loot, which, surprise, surprise, I did not. I did get shulker shells, which will be good for some extra storage. I also totally did not fail a water bucket save, just ignore that. The fact I almost lost the world to that mistake would have been the end of my career. I would have quit Minecraft for good. Okay, maybe not, but anyways, I make my way out of the city with no new loot in hand and continue on looking for a boat. Even though I'm beginning to run low on food, I will not be heading back home till I find an elytra. I was starting to think I was having another Nether Fortress incident until I saw it in the distance. A beautiful inn city with a boat. I make my way over to the city, and on the way there, I notice a portal back to the main end dimension. So that means I won't have to travel thousands of blocks back to get home. After getting into the structure, I loot a few chests. I even got some new diamond armor and weapons I can combine with my current ones. One of them being a sharpness 4 diamond sword, so I can combine it with mine and make sharpness 5. Eventually, I make my way to the top of the structures. I got hit by a shulker, and I go towards the boat. I definitely don't miss my water bucket again, and definitely don't almost die. And finally, I have acquired an elytra, also unlocking the achievement named after me. Unfortunately, without any rockets or mending, this is kind of useless right now. Of course, I grab the ender dragon head. I jump down from the structure, make my way back into the main end, hop in the portal, and finally, I'm back home. Okay, so my footage corrupted yet again. but I'll give you the rundown of what I did today. The first thing I did was sort my chest with all of the loot I got from the end. Next thing I did was combine the swords I got, making this bad boy. This is also why my experience is lower. Next thing I did was collect a lot of dirt from underground and expanded the island so I can start on the farms. I did this little circular oak log design. Nothing too crazy, but I think with the design idea I have, it will fit perfectly onto this island. I start the day by planting the seeds that I have so far on the farm. Right now, only wheat and beetroot I got from the end. I was going to plant the pumpkin I got earlier, but I genuinely have no idea where it went, so no pumpkin for right now. I was able to completely fill the farm, so that's good. The next thing I did was start decorating the farm. I placed stone brick slabs on top of all of the logs and then added some lanterns throughout. Finally, I added some leaves to the outside of the log, but I did quickly run out of them, so I had to do a loop of breaking trees, place leaves, break trees, place leaves. Once I was finished, it was nighttime, so I headed to bed. First thing I did today was connect the farm path to the main one for a bit of continuity. I also bone meal the grass a bit for some more greenery around. Then I realized I was running dangerously low on food, so while I wait for the farm to grow, I head to the docks and fish for the next 2 days. I did get enough food for the time being, but besides that, it was a bit of a terrible haul for fishing for that long. After spending so long on the dock, I felt like it was time for an upgrade for that building. So today, I started preparations for that. But first, I really wanted to build a spruce fort. So I hopped on my boat and headed out for the giant floating island I passed earlier. I climbed a flowing water source up and dug my way up, leading into this beautiful landscape. It was covered with trees, pumpkins, and best thing of all, animals. I killed so many animals for food. I also saw this really cute sight of a baby cow sitting on top of its parent. But yeah, I needed to teach it young that life isn't fair. Sorry, little guy. I went around collecting trees for extra wood until it started turning night. I was planning on just continuing throughout the night, but then I got jumped by a horde of zombies and skeletons and got a little close to death. So I very calmly towered up and, using the wool I got from wandering sheep, I made a bed and rested. Waking up on day 50, halfway there. If you made it this far, comment pumpkin, so I know you watched halfway through. First thing I did was mine some surface coal. I was starting to run really low at home, so I might as well collect it while it's here. Then I cut down some more trees for extra wood, killed a few more animals, and dug a lot of dirt, just in case I needed to expand the island more. Then I see it. Another floating island, this time with ice and snow. I bridged my way over and there it was, spruce trees. I cut down as many as I could hold before making my way back and making a chest to start storing loot for my dock build. Now today was a material gathering day. I cut down a bunch of dark oak trees for the logs, got a lot of oak planks, stairs, slabs, and a lot of spruce trapdoors. A few stone brick stairs, slabs, I made a bunch of barrels and chests for storage, and then a lot of lanterns as well. Now that I have all the materials I need for the docks, I can start building. I started with making these supports and the framing of the dock with dark oak logs, having them protrude from the water. Then I added the spruce doors and the oak floor. Then bordered the rest of the docks with oak stairs. Before heading to bed for the night, I noticed the slabs and trapdoors were placed wrong, so I had to tear all of that down and place them correctly. I added a few fences around the dock to make sure I don't accidentally fall in while walking around. Then I added the rest of the flooring with oak slabs, and finally, for today, I built this tiny shack. Next thing I added was some extra dark oak log supports and framing outside of the main one to start the fishing area of the dock. After adding those, I added the spruce trapdoor flooring, which was incredibly annoying to do since they would keep placing weird. After that area was built, I carved out a new area, placed the dark oak framing, which for some reason took me a minute to figure out this time, and then oak slabs. I am currently building a crane. Just for looks, there's like really no actual practicality of it. I just think it looks cool. I get pretty close to finishing before it turns night, so I run back home to go to sleep. Once the sun came up, I went out and finished the crane. Then, to finish up the dock officially, I added some lanterns, stone brick slabs, and some storages for aesthetics, and storage for when I fish. And just like that, the dock is complete. Okay, so you won't believe this. My footage corrupted once again. Something with my PC lately has been causing it to crash, meaning whatever footage I get when it crashes, it's gone into oblivion. But it's okay because I didn't do much today. I added some greenery to liven the place up a bit because I wasn't loving how empty it was starting to look. Then I made a small backpack with the leather I got from the cows on the floating island. Next, I turned it into a plated backpack by covering the backpack with iron. Then I finally made a gilded backpack, covering the backpack in gold, giving me a bit of extra storage space on the go. Today, I yearned for the mines. I was running really low on diamonds, I only have 2 left, and since my armor durability was getting low, I was probably going to have to craft some more sometime soon. Since I have a fortune pickaxe now, it should be a breeze getting a ton more. I make my way down to the mine system I originally explored earlier in hopes of finding some caves that I did not explore. It took me a few minutes to get there because I might have got a little lost. I also had to deal with some mobs and gather some coal, but eventually I make it to my destination and begin exploring. I do in fact find a cave system I haven't explored yet, so after bridging over some lava, I make my way through the caves. I quickly find some diamonds, I collect them, and continue on. Having a fortune pickaxe makes a world of difference because after just 1 day of caving, I am able to get a stack of diamonds. On the way back, I come across my first spawner, a skeleton spawner. I light it up and mark down the coordinates so that I can eventually come back down here and make a small XP farm. I was a tad bit lost, but eventually I was able to get my way back up to my base. I quickly store my inventory through my chest to clear up some space. Then I attempt to get a mending book by enchanting the books I have. But with my abysmal luck, I ended up running out of experience before I could get anything good. Before ending the day, I make a diamond helmet to eventually replace the one that was about to break. On the morning of day 60, I head back into the Nether. I wanted to start the grind for the Wither, so I start my long journey to the fortress. This time, I decided to go the opposite direction in hopes of finding a fortress closer than one that's thousands of blocks away. I make my way through the Soul Sand Valley, collecting some bone blocks for home. Then I make my way through a warped forest, and eventually I find another fortress. This one is still pretty far, but considering how far the other one was, I would much rather have this one be it's a closer distance. I spent a few days grinding the really tiny fortress for wither skeletons. It takes me so long because of how few spawn. Eventually, I get my first one very, very quickly. I kill a few more, got another. Wow, I'm actually having absurd luck here. And then it happens. I killed 10 skeletons, nothing. 20 skeletons, nothing. Eventually, I make it to over 100 skeletons and nothing. My helmet breaks and I contemplate running back home, but I am so close to finishing, so I decide to just kill a few more, and then it happens. My third skeleton skull. After collecting that, I collect some soul sand and run back home. After getting home, I sort my chest and then enchant a new helmet. This enchantment was terrible, so I disenchanted it and then tried again. Pretty solid. After that Nether excursion, I was running really low on food, so I spend the rest of the day fishing. So on day 66, I go down to the caves, I dug out a tiny room, and placed the soul sand and then the skulls. I then spawned the Wither. This fight was always way more fun to me than the Ender Dragon. Anyways, after beating the Wither with ease, not even close, I head back and start the preparations for the beacon. I marked where in the watchtower where I wanted it to go, making the tower kind of act like a lighthouse. Then I collect some sand for glass, head into the Nether to collect obsidian from the portal, put all of the pieces together, and boom, a beacon. Next thing I needed was iron, and a lot of it. I was nowhere near close to having a full beacon's worth, so I unfortunately have to head back into the mines and start collecting every piece of iron I can find. Oh boy, this is going to take a while. Then on day 6-7, I essentially just continued throughout the mines, continuing to search for iron. At this point, I'm starting to regret not going through the process of getting villagers for an iron farm. If you didn't know, you need about 23 stacks of iron to make a full beacon setup. I have 1 stack. It's starting to get to the point where I'm getting annoyed with how many more diamonds I am finding compared to iron. I also saw a random charge creeper while exploring. That was weird. So then I figured I was way too far down to be finding an abundance of iron. So I made my way back up in the mines out of deep slate, and like magic, it instantly worked. I was able to find way more iron this time around. At the end of the day, I ended up with about 8 stacks. Still far from the 23 stack goal, but definitely making more progress. And then there we go. On day 69. Stop laughing. I got extremely lucky, finding one of those iron geodes with a ton of iron ores and ore blocks inside them. I mined them up, getting me to about 9 to 10 stacks of iron. Then I continue on collecting iron throughout the caves until I find another iron geode. I don't know if this is just massive and connected to the same one from before, but for the rest of the day, I mined through this geode, getting me to a whopping 20 stacks of iron. I'm nearly there. My only worry now is running out of food. I've just got the kelp left and I'm starting to run very low on that. But if I can continue at this rate of iron collection, I will be able to collect enough before running out. That was until I immediately ran out of food. Just so I wouldn't starve to death, I made my way back home. Fortunately, able to find a new mob spawner with some bread in the chest, so that was able to feed me enough until I got back. After a while, I made it to the surface and started smelting my iron. While that was smelting, I sorted through my inventory and then I rested for the night. Since I have an abundance of iron to smelt, I decided I would just fish while it all smelted, so I could have some extra food. I fished for a while until I decided to make some new diamond armor. I made a new chest plate and boots since they were very close to breaking, enchanted those new pieces, combined them with my old ones for this. And then for the rest of the day, I just went back and forth of fishing and checking on my iron, making blocks as the ingot smelted. I remembered that the giant floating island I explored earlier had some iron on it, so I journeyed over there and explored, very quickly finding a bit of iron. I also killed a few cows for food while I was here. But apparently, my iron luck ended there. I traveled the entire island to no avail, finding only 3 pieces for this entire trip. As the sun started to set, I made my way back home. I collected the iron that smelted, I made some blocks, and rested for the night. Starting the day off, I collected some more of the iron from the furnaces. Then I went over to the watchtower and started digging where the iron blocks would be placed. I managed to get about 2 layers down before running out of iron blocks. Then I placed the beacon. I added the speed effect just because I like running fast. It makes me feel cool. And for the rest of the day, I kept looping back and forth from the watchtower to the furnaces, crafting more blocks as I can, and then running back to the watchtower to place more blocks. Since I had food and new armor now, I decided it was as good a time as any to went back into the mines and got my pickaxe swinging side to side. Thank you, Captain Sparkles. This task is in fact a grueling one. I had to get the rest of the iron I needed, and very quickly, I was able to collect the last 2 stacks, and then I headed back up. Hopefully, won't have to go caving again for a while. Getting back, I collected the iron that I smelted, I added more coal and iron to smelt, and then made blocks and went back to placing. I was able to get the 3rd layer finished. Then I cleared out some more room beneath it and started the final layer before running out of iron. So I went back to the furnaces, grabbed more ingots, made some blocks, and then went back to place some more of the blocks. By the time I was done, it was turning nighttime, so I rested for the night. Thankfully, I'm nearly done with this beacon. Now, today was a pretty boring day for the most part. I kind of just sat in front of my furnaces all day waiting for my iron to finish smelting. If you were wondering what I was doing, I was just watching Joe Bart clips while sitting there. Eventually, the sun went down, but I was determined to finish this beacon today. So I waited there while it finished, and finally, I was able to craft all the iron blocks I needed. I went down to the watchtower, I placed the rest of the iron blocks, and finally, the full beacon was done. The next big task I really wanted to accomplish before the 100 days was up was making netherite tools and armor. So today I crafted a few beds. I used the string I've gotten throughout the video, having a total of 3 beds, and headed right back into the nether. I dug down to Y level 15 and placed my first bed, immediately getting 2 pieces of netherite. I placed down another bed, unfortunately no netherite this time. Then I placed my last bed. Thankfully, I got some more pieces from this explosion. Now that I'm out, I'll have to, oh god, strip mine. Thankfully, at the start, I got pretty lucky and found some more netherite quickly, but as I continue on, I find more pieces, ending the day with 8 total netherite scraps. I continue to mine for the majority of the day before my pickaxe durability starts to get low. Unfortunately, no new netherite scraps found. I make my way back to the base, I started smelting my scraps, and then I started the process of duplicating the netherite smithing templates. I end up with 8, enough for all tools and armor. I then repaired my pickaxe with some diamonds to get it back to full durability. I then made a netherite ingot and combined all of it together to get my first piece of upgraded equipment, the netherite pickaxe. Then I added another template and ingot with my chestplate to start the armor as well. I really wanted some more beds to make mining netherite easier, so I went up to the giant island once again. This place is seriously beautiful. How could I not keep coming here? And I grinded sheep for the rest of the day. Also, what's with the goats here? Like, what is the point of this animal? I really don't know. Anyways, I made it back home once it got dark, and I ended up with 3 beds. Not a lot, but it should be fine for right now. Apparently, me getting beds were completely useless. I went back down to the nether mines. I placed the first bed, nothing. I placed the second bed, nothing. I placed the third bed, and guess what? No, seriously, no, guess. Like, you'll never guess. Nothing. But as soon as I started strip mining, I found some more netherite. You've got to be kidding me. I continued strip mining for the rest of the day, only walking into lava a few times. This sound was also really satisfying. I ended the day with 6 netherite mined. On day 80, I just kept going. I really wanted to get the full set before day 100. I was determined. I ended up getting very lucky today with ancient debris finds. In the beginning of the day, I couldn't find anything until I kept on finding ancient debris back to back, ending the day with 13 pieces total. I felt like this was enough for the time being since it would cover my armor. So I headed back to the base and started smelting. While my scraps were smelting, I repaired all of my diamond armor so it would have full durability when I turned them into netherite. Shortly after that, I was able to start the process of finishing my netherite armor, starting with the helmet, then the boots, and then finally the leggings. I put it all on and get the cover me in debris achievement. Next thing I did was increase the size of the island a tad, adding enough room for one more small build. I wanted a small shrine for the dragon egg to tie everything together, completing the story of the builds of the island for the time being. Then I spent the rest of the day making the materials needed. I went for a pretty small design for the shrine. I like the idea of not having any mega builds on this island. Like, I crashed here and built what I could for shelter. I started with a stone brick flooring and the slabs and stairs for the flooring. Then I added some pillars to reach the roof. I used spruce wood again for the roof. It's the best wood type for building, I'm not sorry. And then finally, I added a glowstone up top to shine upon the egg, ending with this for the shrine. I think it's beautiful and think it fits the island perfectly. I started the day by adding some more vegetation to the island to make it look less plain. After that, I decided for some reason, I really wanted a water fountain right in the middle of the base. So I started that. I dug out a hole in the ground and filled it up with stone brick. But I would need more stone before I could finish the fountain. So I started smelting some cobble for the rest of the day. After some of the stone brick is done smelting, I continued the fountain. I added some slabs to do a bit of a protrusion out of the ground. Then I built 7 blocks high. I added some stairs on the side for this design. Next, I added some leaves around the fountain to fit the theme that I've been building with so far. And finally, I added the water up top and watched it flow down. I did not like how low I was getting on food, once again. So I decided I would spend the next few days fishing to get more than enough for the rest of the video. It was also nice after just doing so much throughout this entire video just to relax for a little bit. I won't lie, I was watching live streams while I was fishing. It was nice to just, I don't know, just relax and just get a lot of food. Plus, I'm really tired of always running out of food. I'm really tired of it. So I wanted this to be the last time that I would need to go and gather food for the, the rest of the movie. But also, I'm just curious, what do you guys think of the video so far? Do you like the way that I'm just narrating everything that I do, or do you guys like the live commentary a lot more? Because I feel like it's a little bit better for me to control the entire story if we just do the narration like this one. Plus, I also record this like really late at night when everyone's asleep, when I can't fall asleep, so then I just, come and play this. That's why I also haven't uploaded this in a really long time, but, well, I'll be talking about that one later because, yeah, I'm gonna be uploading an update video because, yeah, there might be some really important changes that I'm hoping that you guys are gonna be okay with. But hopefully, you guys are enjoying the video. Less than 10 days left. With a good amount of food collected, the last thing I decided to do before ending the video was exploring the ocean one last time. Heading in the direction I never went, and hopefully I can find something new this time around. Unfortunately, for the first day out, I did not find anything. So, as the sun set, I settled on a small island and rested for the night. Yet another day of traveling without finding anything. I think I'm coming to the conclusion that the only thing in this world are these tiny, useless islands. So after traveling for another few hundred blocks, I decided to rest again and head back as I was starting to get really far from my base, and I wanted to be back by the time it hits day 100. And so I began my long journey and, quite frankly, pointless journey back. That was until I came across these giant ships with, oh my god, are you kidding me? No, 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 no. No, you're joking. Villagers? After this long, there was a lot of loot to go through in these village boats. A lot of loot that would have been really useful way earlier in this video. No, I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I swear, I'm not. I still collect as much as I can, including all of the emeralds there are. And eventually, it starts to turn night while I'm looting. So I steal one of the villagers' beds and rest for the night. I continue to loot all the chests I can find. I find some carrots and potatoes, which means I can finally add some more variety to my farm. I also write the coordinates for the boat so that if I do another 100 days in this world, I can come back here and attempt to steal 2 villagers to take back to my base for making my own village. But for that to happen, I want to see if this video can hit 30,000 likes. Then I eventually looted all of the chests I can find and continue on my way back home. Funny enough, I'm able to spot my base by the beacon. The watchtower truly does work. I'm so smart, man. First thing I did when I got back was replace some of the wheat sections of the farm with potatoes and carrots. I did have to bone meal some parts so that I would have enough to cover their respected sections, and the next thing I did was sort all of the loot I got from the village into the chest. Then, using the emeralds I got, I made the bejeweled backpack, the next upgrade in storage I had, and the increase was so much better. In getting this backpack, it opened the recipe to the next upgrade of the backpack. They were all very expensive, one of them costing a Nether star. To end off the day, I went through the new parts of the farm and bone mealed all of the crops to make the farm look more complete. Since there really wasn't much else for me to do for this island for the next 3 days, I fished once again to pass the time. I really didn't want to start another project and leave it unfinished. Plus, if I do another video for this world and you guys can hit that like goal, I will have more than enough food for a while. Plus, while fishing, I finally got a mending rod. And there we have it. It's been a little bit since I've done one of these 100-day videos, and it's been a very long time since I've done this kind of like narration, which, you know, we call it post-commentary versus, you know, when I'm just talking and recording at the same time, that's live commentary. But this is what I actually started this channel with. Well, not started, but like this is what got the channel big in the first place. But again, like there's going to be an update video where I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff, but I don't know if it's nostalgia or if it's just, you know, a new way for me to record and not get burnt out of Minecraft. But I did have, you know, a lot more fun just playing the game without having to talk and then just focusing on everything and watching live streams like I used to back in the day. And then just, you know, writing down a script, being able to, you know, make it funny, make it, you know, nicely paced and make the video a lot faster. So, you know, I hope that you guys enjoyed all of that. I hope that you guys do like this, especially since like almost all of my big videos, I do this post commentary, like I do this narration for them. So I'm hoping that you guys do enjoy it, and I hope that you guys are excited for, you know, the future of, you know, the 100-day videos, because most likely I'm just going to continue doing this for the channel. The series I was doing before, it's fun. You know, I enjoyed them, but it's just, you know, it doesn't seem like that many of you enjoy it. It seems like a lot more of you guys enjoy these 100-day videos. So, but anyways, you know, I'm just rambling. I'm sorry, but I hope that you guys enjoy this video. I really did. And again, it would mean the world to me if you guys can click that subscribe button and the like button. It helps out tremendously with getting the video around the YouTube algorithm. There's also some new hype button thing if you guys want to hype the video, if that's even there. Or I think it's for channels with only like 500,000 or less subscribers, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, no, I hope that you enjoyed the video, Dave, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.